Olivia Harmon stared at her reflection in the polished metal wall of the space station. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun, her blue uniform pressed perfectly. She looked exactly like what she was supposed to be, just another human. Diplomat, nothing special. Nothing threatening, that was the point. The metal doors slid open with a soft hiss. Olivia took a deep breath and walked into the great meeting hall of Outpost, Zeta to 9. The room was filled with representatives from 20 different alien species. Most were humanoid, but some had extra limbs, unusual skin colors, or features that didn't match any Earth creature. Yet among all these different beings, the Crozet were impossible to miss. The Crozet took up the left side of the room. They were tall, muscular aliens with thick gray skin that looked like armor. Most stood over 7 feet tall. Their eyes glowed yellow in the dim light of the meeting hall. Every Crozet wore some kind of battle trophy, a scar, a piece of enemy armor, or a weapon taken from a defeated foe. Olivia walked to her assigned seat, feeling the Crozet warriors watching her. Their stares felt like physical weight on her back. She knew what they saw, a small human female, barely 5'6", with no visible strength or power. In their culture, she was nothing. "The human arrives last, as usual," said a deep voice that echoed through the chamber. "Perhaps the walk from your quarters was too tiring for your weak legs." Admiral Vexler, cousin to the Crozet warlord Drakul, stood up from his seat. He was bigger than the other Crozet, with a face marked by 3 long scars. His right arm gleamed with metal, a cybernetic replacement that was said to have the strength of 10 warriors. The other Crozet laughed at his joke. Some of the other aliens joined in too, not wanting to risk offending the warlike species. Olivia smiled politely. "My apologies for my tardiness, Admiral. I was reviewing the mining rights proposal for Procyon." Vexler's yellow eyes narrowed, always hiding behind words and papers. "This is why humans will never be respected in the galaxy. You have no strength, no honor. We have different values," Olivia said simply, setting her datapad on the table. She didn't raise her voice or show anger. That would only make things worse. The meeting began with discussions about trade routes and border patrols. When it was Olivia's turn to speak about Earth's claim to mining rights in the Procyon system, she stood and activated her presentation. "Earth has surveyed the 4th planet in the Procyon system and found rich deposits of rare minerals that would benefit many worlds in this sector. We propose a fair extraction plan that would..." "Fair?" Vexler interrupted, slamming his cybernetic fist on the table, the metal dented under the impact. "The Crozet Empire has claimed that system for generations. Your people only reached the stars a century ago. You are children playing at politics." Olivia kept her face neutral. "The Galactic Council records show no formal claim by any species to the Procyon system until Earth's survey team filed their report last year. The Crozet do not need paper claims. Our word is our claim," Vexler said. He stood up and walked around the table toward Olivia. The room went quiet. Even the meeting moderator, a tall, thin alien from the Vosgian Republic, seemed unsure what to do. Vexler towered over Olivia. "Pick up your datapad," he ordered. Olivia looked at him calmly. "Excuse me?" "I said, pick it up. Show everyone how a human female struggles with even the simplest task." Olivia now understood. Her diplomatic case and datapad were made of a special, dense metal that looked normal but weighed about 40 pounds. Heavy enough to seem impressive when she carried it with ease, but not so heavy it would raise suspicion. Vexler must have noticed when he struck the table and felt its weight. She could lift it easily with her enhanced strength, but that would reveal too much. Instead, she needed to play her role. Olivia reached down and gripped the datapad with both hands. She lifted it with a show of effort, letting her arms shake slightly. Vexler laughed loudly. "Look at this." The mighty Earth representative can barely lift her own tools. He grabbed the datapad from her with his cybernetic arm and held it up with one finger. "This is nothing to a Crozet child." The Crozet section erupted in laughter. Some of the other aliens joined in nervously. Olivia noticed that her fellow human diplomats looked away. Embarrassed by the display, Vexler tossed the datapad back onto the table. This human female can barely lift her own diplomatic case. How can such weakness represent anything of value in our galaxy? Olivia picked up her datapad again, this time with less pretended effort. Physical strength is just one trait, Admiral. Humans value many others: intelligence, compassion, creativity. Excuses made by the weak, Vexter cut her off. Your species is soft. You hide behind words because you cannot fight. The Crozet Empire will never recognize your claim to Procyon or any star system. The meeting dissolved into chaos after that. The moderator called for a recess, and the various representatives broke into small groups. Discussing what had happened, Olivia returned to her quarters and locked the door. She touched a small device on her wrist that scanned for listening devices or surveillance. When it showed green, she relaxed slightly. She went to the wall and pressed her palm against it. The metal there was reinforced, but her enhanced muscles didn't even strain as she dented it with a light push. She could have crushed Vexler-S cybernetic arm like aluminum foil if she'd wanted to, but that wasn't her mission. Not yet. Olivia sat at her desk and recorded a message for Earth Central Command. Admiral Vexler has escalated his provocations. The Crozet are now openly challenging our claim to Procyon. I recommend we continue diplomatic efforts but prepare for possible military action. She sent the encrypted message and then pulled up her personal files. Behind layers of security was information about Project Sentinel, the program that had changed her from a normal diplomat into something else. The genetic modifications had hurt, the muscle enhancements had been painful, and the neural upgrades had given her migraines for months. But now she was Earth's secret weapon, a diplomat who could defend herself against any alien threat. Olivia hoped she would never need to reveal what she could do. But as she looked at reports of Crozet ships moving toward Procyon, she feared that day might come soon. The mockery she could endure, the insults meant nothing. But if the Crozet moved against Earth or its colonies, they would learn that humanity wasn't as weak as they believed. They would learn the hard way. 6 months passed. The tension between Earth and the Crozet Empire grew worse each day. Olivia attended meeting after meeting, enduring more insults from Admiral Vexler and the other Crozet representatives. She documented every threat, every broken rule, building a case for the Galactic Council. Earth ships continued their mining surveys in the Procyon system, protected by a small fleet. The Crozet sent more warships to the edge of the system but stayed just outside the boundary lines set by galactic law. It was a dangerous game that couldn't last. Olivia was in her office reviewing reports when her communication screen lit up. It was Captain Steve Winters from Earth Security. "We've detected a large ship entering the neutral zone," Steve said, his face serious. "It's the Deathbringer." Olivia felt her stomach tighten. The Deathbringer was Warlord Draco's personal battle. CRUICER? If he was coming personally, the situation had become much more dangerous. "How long until he reaches the station?" she asked. 3 hours. He's requested an emergency meeting of the council. Sighed, he wants to settle the Procyon dispute once and for all. Olivia nodded. "I'll be ready." When the screen went dark, she walked to a hidden panel in her wall. Inside was a small injector. The green liquid inside would boost her enhanced abilities for a short time if needed. She hoped she wouldn't need it, but she put it in her pocket anyway. 3 hours later, Olivia stood with the other diplomats in the main docking bay of Outpost. Zeta 9, the massive doors opened, and a group of Crozet warriors marched in. They wore full battle armor covered in spikes and symbols of their victories. Behind them came Warlord Draco. He was even larger than Vexler, standing over 8 feet tall. His skin was darker gray, almost black in places. His left eye had been replaced with a glowing red cybernetic one that moved independently, scanning everything. But most impressive was his right arm, a massive cybernetic limb covered in weapons and trophies from defeated enemies. Vexler bowed to his cousin. "Warlord, I welcome you to this pathetic outpost. As I reported, the humans continue to defy our rightful claim to Procyon." Draco looked around until his eyes found Olivia. He walked toward her, his heavy footsteps echoing in the quiet room. He stopped just 2 feet away, towering over her. You are the human female who speaks for Earth? His voice was deeper than Vexler's, with a strange metallic quality to it. Olivia met his gaze without flinching. I am Olivia Harmon, Earth's diplomatic representative to the Galactic Council. Drakal studied her for a long moment. You look even weaker than my cousin described. I cannot believe Earth would send such a frail creature to negotiate with the Crozet Empire. Appearances can be deceiving, Warlord, Olivia said calmly. Drakal laughed, a harsh sound like metal grinding. My cousin tells me your people are plotting against the Crozet, using deception rather than honorable confrontation. That is not true. We have followed all galactic laws regarding our claim to Procyon. We have documentation. Documentation. Drakal spat the word. The Crozet do not need papers. We take what we want with strength and honor. The emergency council meeting began 1 hour later. All 20 species were represented, with extra security guards along the walls. Drakal sat in the Crozet section, his massive form making the chair look like a child's seat. When it was Olivia's turn to speak, she stood and activated a holographic display in the center of the room. This is the official survey record submitted by Earth explorers last year, she explained. It shows clearly that no prior claims existed for the Procyon system. Our mining operations have followed all regulations set by the Galactic Mining Authority. Draco stood up suddenly. Enough of these lies. The Procyon system has been part of Crozet hunting grounds for generations. We do not need your human papers to prove what everyone knows. There is no record of any Crozet activity in that system for over 200 years, Olivia replied. The law states that I am the law of the Crozet. Drakal roared. He walked to the center of the room and swept his cybernetic arm through the holographic display, scattering the images. Your Earth laws mean nothing to us. Olivia stood her ground. Warlord Drakal, if you have a legitimate claim to Procyon, we can discuss sharing the resources. There is plenty for both our peoples. Drakal's face twisted in anger. Share? The Crozet do not share what is rightfully ours. He moved toward Olivia with surprising speed for someone so large. Your weakness disgusts me. Before anyone could react, Drakal reached out with his normal left hand and grabbed Olivia by the throat. He lifted her off the ground as if she weighed nothing. This is how the Crozet negotiate with the unworthy, he growled, squeezing tighter. The room erupted in shouts. The security guards moved forward, but Vexler and the other Crozet blocked their path. The head of the council, a tall, blue-skinned alien named Zorn, raised his voice above the chaos. Warlord Drakal! This is a diplomatic meeting protected by council law. Drakal ignored him, keeping his eyes on Olivia as she dangled from his grip. Submit to Crozet authority or suffer the consequences. Olivia couldn't speak with her throat being crushed. Her vision started to blur at the edges. Warning signals flashed across her augmented vision, showing her oxygen levels dropping rapidly. She had a choice to make. She could keep pretending to be a normal human diplomat and risk serious injury or death, or she could reveal her true nature and change everything. The other human diplomats watched in horror, unable to help. One of them shouted, "Please, someone!" "Stop him, he's killing her," Vexler laughed. "Look how weak your representative is. She cannot even defend herself against one hand of a true warrior." Olivia's fingers touched the small injector in her pocket. She didn't want to use it. Once she revealed what she was, there would be no going back. Earth's secret advantage would be exposed, but as Drakal's grip tightened even more and the warning lights in her vision turned red, she made her decision. Her mission was to protect Earth's interests, and she couldn't do that if she was dead. Her fingers closed around the injector. With the last of her strength, she pulled it out and pressed it against her leg. The green liquid entered her bloodstream instantly, and everything changed. The green liquid from the injector spread through Olivia's body like fire. Her enhanced muscles, normally kept in check by special inhibitors, suddenly activated to their full potential. Her vision sharpened. Time seemed to slow down around her. With one smooth motion, Olivia grabbed Dracul's wrist with both hands. The warlord's yellow eyes widened in surprise as she easily broke his grip. She dropped to the floor, landing gracefully on her feet. The entire room went silent. Even the security guards froze, shocked by what they had just seen. Olivia stood tall, rubbing her throat where bruises were already forming. When she spoke, her voice had a new resonance to it. "I've endured your people's contempt out of respect for diplomatic process," she said, looking directly at Drakul. "That ends today." Drakul's surprise quickly turned to rage. "How dare you resist the will of a Krozat warlord?" He pulled back his cybernetic right arm, the one that had crushed the skulls of countless enemies. "No human tricks will save you now." He swung at Olivia with enough force to shatter concrete. Everyone in the room expected to see her broken body fly across the chamber. Instead, Olivia didn't move to dodge. She raised her right hand and caught Drakul's mechanical fist. Mid-dash strike. The impact created a shockwave that cracked the reinforced floor beneath them. The sound echoed like a thunderclap through the meeting hall, but Olivia didn't budge an inch. She held the massive cybernetic arm as if it were nothing. Vexthor shouted, "Impossible! No human can withstand such force." Olivia looked calmly at Drakul. "You assume humans show all their strength. We don't. We keep it in reserve, hoping never to use it." As she spoke, her skin rippled slightly, revealing for a brief moment the nanomesh armor integrated with her modified muscles. The other diplomats gasped. Drakul roared and tried to pull his arm back. He couldn't move it. Olivia's grip was like steel. "Release me, human," he demanded. "As you wish," Olivia replied, but before letting go, she squeezed. The supposedly indestructible alloys of Drakul's prized cybernetic arm crumpled like paper under her fingers. Metal parts snapped and wires sparked. The arm, a symbol of Drakul's power and the source of his most famous victories, was crushed beyond repair. When she finally released him, Drakul stumbled backward. He stared in horror at his ruined arm, now hanging useless and twisted at his side. "What are you?" he whispered, fear replacing the rage in his voice. "I am exactly what I've always been, Earth representative," Olivia said. "The difference is that now you see a little more of what that means." Vexthor and the other Krozat warriors moved to attack, drawing weapons hidden under their diplomatic robes. The security guards also drew their weapons, creating a standoff. Zorn, the council head, raised his hands. "Stop, this is still a diplomatic meeting. There will be no more violence here," Olivia nodded. "I agree. I didn't come here for a fight. I came to negotiate fair access to the Procyon system." She turned to face the entire council. "For years, humanity has been mocked and underestimated. By the Krozat and others? We've been called weak because we prefer words to violence. But make no mistake, Earth is not defenseless." She gestured toward Drakul. "I could have killed the Warlord just now. Instead, I disabled one arm. That was a choice, not a limitation." The room was still as everyone processed what they had just witnessed. A human female had just defeated the most feared warlord in the galaxy with apparent ease. Drakul finally found his voice again. "What kind of abomination are you?" "No natural. Human has such strength." "I am the product of human innovation," Olivia explained. "Project Sentinel created diplomats with hidden defensive capabilities. We were never meant to be weapons. We were insurance against exactly this kind of aggression." One of the other council members, a small reptilian alien, leaned forward. All human diplomats like you?" Olivia smiled. "I'm not authorized to answer that question. But I suggest everyone consider that possibility before threatening Earth representatives in the future." Vexthor couldn't contain his anger any longer. "This is deception. The Krozat will not stand for such dishonor." "Speaking of deception," Olivia said, turning to face him, "perhaps we should discuss your role in this crisis, Admiral." She tapped her datapad and new holographic images appeared in the center of the room. They showed communication logs between Vexthor and several known enemies of Earth. These records show that Admiral Vexthor has been working secretly to escalate tensions between Earth and the Krozat Empire. He deliberately misrepresented Earth's actions to Warlord Drakul, while plotting with other factions to take advantage of any conflict that might result. Drakul's one good eye widened as he read the evidence. He turned to his cousin. You told me the humans were planning to attack our colonies. You said they had secret weapons pointed at our homeworld. Vexler backed away. Cousin, these are human lies. You cannot trust their technology. These records were verified by 3 independent council security experts, Olivia said. And they show clearly that Admiral Vexler hoped to use a war with Earth to improve his own standing in the Crozet Empire. Perhaps even to replace you, Warlord, if you fell in battle. Drakal roared in fury and lunged at Vexler with his remaining arm. The other Crozet warriors didn't move to help either side, confused by the sudden turn of events. Zorn slammed his ceremonial staff on the floor. Enough! This council session is suspended until tomorrow. Security will escort the Crozet delegation to separate quarters until this matter can be resolved peacefully. As Drakal was led away, still shouting threats at his cousin, he stopped in front of Olivia. His voice was quieter now, meant only for her. You have made an enemy today, human. No one humiliates a Crozet warlord and lives to boast of it. Olivia met his gaze calmly. I don't want to be your enemy, warlord. I want to be your equal at this table. Think carefully about what happened here. There's a better path forward than more violence. After the Crozet were gone, the other human diplomats surrounded Olivia, their faces a mix of shock, fear, and how long have you been ... one of them started to ask. That's classified, Olivia said. She could feel the enhancement injection wearing off. Soon she would look completely normal again, though her true strength would remain. But right. Now, we have work to do. This crisis isn't over yet. News of what happened in the council chamber spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within hours, every major world had heard how a human diplomat had defeated the mighty warlord Drakal with ease. The stories grew with each telling. Some said Olivia had torn the warlord's arm off completely. Others claimed she had defeated his entire guard as well. Olivia sat in a secure communication room, facing a screen showing General Frank Perry of Earth's Defense Intelligence Agency. His gray hair was cut short, and deep lines marked his face from years of difficult decisions. You did what you had to do, the general said. But now everything has changed. The Crozet will never see us the same way again. Is that bad? Olivia asked. They've bullied and threatened us for years because they thought we were weak. It's complicated. Fear can lead to respect, but it can also lead to greater hatred. The Crozet don't forget humiliation. A second screen lit up, showing President Lavra Bennett. She looked tired but determined. Agent Harmon, I've reviewed your report. The Security Council is divided on our next steps. Some want to reveal more about Project Sentinel as a warning to other hostile species. Others think we should continue. As if this was an isolated incident, Olivia thought about it. The secret is already out, Madam President. The question is how we shape the narrative going forward. Exactly, President Bennett agreed. That's why we're sending you back to Earth immediately. We need to prepare you for what's coming next. The general nodded. A secure transport will arrive in 6 hours. Until then, stay in your quarters. We don't know how the Crozet will react to what happened. After the call ended, Olivia returned to her room under heavy guard. She had just started packing when her security alert chimed. Someone was trying to access her door without permission. She moved silently to a defensive position, ready for an attack. But when the door slid open, it wasn't a Crozet warrior standing there. It was Zorn, the council head. May I enter? The tall blue-skinned alien asked politely. Olivia relaxed slightly and nodded. Zorn stepped inside, ducking his head under the doorframe. The council is in chaos, he said without preamble. Many species are now questioning everything they thought they knew about humans. I never wanted to reveal what I am, Olivia said, but Drakal left me no choice. Zorn's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of deep thought among his people. Perhaps it was necessary. The Crozet have grown too bold in recent years, threatening smaller worlds, demanding resources. They respected only visible strength. And, Now the balance of power has shifted. Drakal returned to his ship in disgrace. His warriors whisper that a leader proven weak must step aside. It is their ancient law. Olivia frowned. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to protect myself and Earth's interests. Intentions matter less than outcomes in galactic politics, Zorn said. You should know that Vexler has been placed under guard after your revelations. But he still has supporters who may seek revenge. Thank you for the warning. Zorn moved toward the door, then paused. One more thing. There is a faction among the Krozat led by Commander Zarevak that has long advocated for cooperation with Earth rather than confrontation. With Draco weakened, they may gain influence. That could be an opportunity for real peace. After Zorn left, Olivia finished packing quickly. She needed to be ready for whatever came next. Meanwhile, on the Krozat battlecruiser Deathbringer, Warlord Drakul sat in his private chamber, staring at his ruined arm. The ship's best engineers had examined it and delivered bad news. The damage was beyond repair. The neural interfaces had been precisely damaged in ways their technology couldn't fix. A Krozat warrior entered and bowed. Warlord, we've received word from the homeworld. The High Council has called an emergency meeting to discuss your ... situation, Drakul growled. My situation? You mean my defeat at the hands of a human female? The elders are concerned about what this means for our people standing in the galaxy. Leave me, Drakul ordered. When he was alone again, he slammed his good fist against the wall. His entire life had been built on the foundation of his perceived invincibility. Now that foundation was crumbling on the other side of the ship. Admiral Vexler paced in his quarters, now a prison. 2 guards stood outside his door. His plans had fallen apart because of that human and her hidden strength. Years of careful manipulation, destroyed in moments, but he wasn't finished yet. He still had allies throughout the Krozat Empire. If he could escape and reach them, he might yet turn this disaster to his advantage. Vexler pressed a hidden button under his sleeve. A small communicator activated, connecting him to a secret ally on a distant world. The situation has changed, he whispered. Accelerate our plans. The human female must be eliminated before she reaches Earth. 3 days later, Olivia stood in a large briefing room at Earth Central Command. Dozens of military and political leaders filled the seats, all eager to hear firsthand about what had happened on Outpost Zeta 9, General Perry introduced her. Most of you know Agent Harmon as our diplomatic representative to the Galactic Council. What few of you knew until now is that she is also the first successful graduate of Project Sentinel. Olivia stepped forward. The room was silent as everyone waited for her to speak. Project Sentinel was created 5 years ago, she explained. The goal was to develop diplomats with hidden defensive capabilities. I volunteered for the program after seeing how vulnerable our representatives were in a galaxy full of physically superior species. She described the genetic modifications, the painful muscle enhancements, and the neural upgrades that had given her migraines for months. I was never meant to be a weapon, she said. I was insurance against exactly the kind of aggression that Drakul displayed. A woman in an admiral's uniform raised her hand. Could we create more like you? An army, perhaps? Olivia shook her head. The process has a high failure rate. And more importantly, that would go against everything Earth stands for. We don't want to become like the Krozat, relying on force rather than diplomacy. President Bennett joined Olivia at the front of the room. What happened at Outpost Zeta 9 has changed our position in the galaxy. Some see it as an opportunity. Others worry it will lead to new threats. But we cannot go back to how things were. Before, the president turned to face the gathered leaders. We need to decide our next steps carefully. How do we use this moment to create lasting peace rather than escalate conflicts? As the discussion continued, Olivia's secure communicator beeped. The message was from Zorn. Urgent news. Drakul has been challenged for leadership. Vexler has escaped custody. The Krozat Empire is on the brink of civil war. Olivia looked up at the president, who was still speaking about peace and cooperation. The situation was about to get much more complicated. 3 months after the confrontation with Drakul, Olivia stood on a platform in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council. The room was larger and more impressive than the meeting chamber on Outpost Zeta to 9. Thousands of representatives from over 100 worlds filled the seats. This was the full council, not just the small diplomatic group she had worked with before. Olivia wore a new uniform that didn't hide what she was anymore. The blue fabric was interwoven with the same nanomesh that strengthened her muscles. A small Earth emblem on her chest glowed softly, indicating her enhanced status. President Bennett stood beside her, ready to address the council for the first time in person. On Olivia's other side was Commander Zarevek of the Crozet. Zarevek looked different from other Crozet warriors Olivia had met. She was just as tall and strong, but her gray skin had natural blue markings, and she wore simple armor without trophies or battle decorations. She had been a voice for peace within the Crozet Empire for years, though few had listened to her before recent events. The last 3 months had changed everything. After Draco returned to the Crozet homeworld in disgrace, multiple clan leaders had challenged his right to rule. The resulting power struggle had nearly torn the Empire apart. During the chaos, Vexler had escaped and gathered his supporters for one desperate move. He had led an attack on an Earth science station in the Procyon system, hoping to provoke a war that would unite the Crozet behind him, but his plan had failed. Olivia, along with 2 other Project Sentinel agents, had defended the station. In the battle, Vexler had finally faced justice for his deceptions. Defeated by the very humans he had once mocked as weak, with Vexler gone and Draco stripped of his authority, Zarevek and her progressive faction had gained control of the Crozet government. Their first act had been to reach out to Earth for peace talks. Now, the 3 of them, human president, enhanced diplomat, and Crozet commander stood ready to announce a historic agreement. The head of the council, Zorn, called for silence. Today we witness something many thought impossible, a true alliance between Earth and the Crozet Empire. President Bennett stepped forward to speak. For too long, our worlds have been divided by misunderstanding and prejudice. The Crozet valued physical strength above all else and saw humans as weak. We humans often dismiss the Crozet as simple warriors without appreciating their rich culture and history. Zarevek spoke next, her deep voice carrying throughout the hall. Both our peoples were wrong about each other. The strength of humanity does not always show on the surface, and the Crozet are capable of more than conquest and battle. Olivia watched the audience as they listened. Many seemed skeptical, especially the older Crozet representatives. Change would not come easily after generations of hostility. Then it was Olivia's turn to speak. She stepped forward, feeling the weight of the moment. 3 months ago, I was forced to reveal abilities that had been kept secret. I showed that humans are not as weak as some believed. But true strength isn't about who can punch harder or lift more. She looked directly at the Crozet section of the audience. The strength of humanity has never been in our muscles or our weapons. It lies in our resilience, our adaptability, and our willingness to extend peace even after provocation. Murmurs ran through the crowd. Olivia continued. The Crozet valued only visible strength. Now they must learn, as we did centuries ago, that true power often lies beneath the surface in cooperation, innovation, and mutual respect. Zarevek nodded in agreement. This is why we have come together today. To announce not just peace between our peoples, but a new partnership. President Bennett activated a large holographic display showing the Procyon system. The mining rights that once divided us will now unite us. Earth and the Crozet Empire will develop the resources of Procyon together, sharing technology and profits. The announcement caused a stir among the council members. Such cooperation between former enemies was rare in galactic politics. Zorn stepped forward again. In light of these developments, the Council has decided to create a new joint security force with representatives from all member worlds, including both humans and Crozet. This force will help prevent the kind of deception and manipulation that Admiral Vexler used to push our worlds toward war. After the formal ceremony ended, Olivia found herself looking out a large window at the stars. So much had changed because of one moment of decision when she had chosen to reveal her true capabilities rather than maintain the deception. Zarevek joined her at the window. You seem troubled, Diplomat Harmon. Just thinking about how differently things might have gone, Olivia replied. If Drakul hadn't attacked me, if I hadn't exposed what I am, we might still be enemies. Or, the conflict might have escalated into full war, Zarevic said. The path of history often turns on small moments. Olivia nodded. What will happen to Drakul now? He has been exiled to a mining colony in the Procyon system, Zarevic said with a hint of irony in her voice. He will work alongside the humans. He once despised without his title or cybernetic enhancements? That seems fitting, Olivia said. He may yet learn from the experience, Zarevic said, as we all must learn from our mistakes. A young human diplomat approached them, looking nervous to be addressing two such famous figures. Excuse me, Agent Harmon. The Earth delegation is preparing to return to our embassy. Olivia nodded. Thank you. I'll join them shortly. After the young diplomat left, Zarevic said, Your people still seem somewhat afraid of you. It will take time for everyone to adjust, Olivia said. Humans, Crozet, and all the other species. We've taken the first steps toward understanding each other better, but the journey is just beginning. Zarevic made the formal Crozet gesture of respect, a closed fist pressed to the heart. Until our next meeting, Diplomat Harmon. Olivia returned the gesture. Until then, Commander. As she walked away to join the Earth delegation, Olivia thought about her journey. She had never wanted to be a hero or a symbol. She had simply done her duty as best she could. But sometimes that was enough to change the galaxy. On the newly established joint human-Crozet mining facility in the Procyon system, engineers from both species worked side by side. Among them, stripped of his rank and cybernetic enhancements, Drakul lifted heavy equipment with his remaining natural arm. He watched as humans and Crozet cooperated, learning from each other's strengths, slowly, reluctantly. The former warlord began to understand what Olivia Harmon had tried to tell him. True strength took many forms, and some of the most powerful were not visible until they were needed. The galaxy had learned an important lesson. Judge not by appearance or assumption, for even the seemingly weak may harbor strength beyond comprehension.